The Radical Realist Global Insights. The Israeli-Palestinian conflict. The Israeli-Palestinian conflict is a long-standing and deeply rooted dispute between two groups over the land in the Middle East that both claim as their own. The conflict is about competing claims to the same territory, Israel and the Palestinian territories of the West Bank and Gaza Strip. The roots of the conflict go back to the late 19th and early 20th centuries, with increased Jewish immigration and rising tensions between Jewish and Arab populations. In 1948, Israel was established, leading to the First Arab-Israeli War and displacement of Palestinians. Despite attempts to resolve the conflict, peace remains elusive, with violence, political stalemate, and human rights abuses ongoing. The conflict is complicated by regional and international actors and deeply held religious, cultural, and historical differences. A lasting peace requires compromise and cooperation, and protection of the rights of all involved. Why is the term apartheid appropriate in describing Israel's current rule over Palestinians? The term apartheid is used to describe Israel's current rule over Palestinians because it is argued to resemble the system of racial segregation and discrimination that existed in South Africa until the 1990s. Critics of Israel's policies towards Palestinians argue that they are discriminatory, with separate laws and systems of governance for Jews and Palestinians in the same territory. Palestinians living in the West Bank and Gaza Strip are subjected to military occupation and limited freedom of movement, while Arab Israelis often face discriminatory treatment in areas such as housing, employment, and political representation. The building of Jewish-only settlements in the West Bank is also seen as a form of apartheid, as it further fragments Palestinian territory. Should the U.S. Embassy be moved from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem? Supporters believe that acknowledging Jerusalem as Israel's capital by moving the embassy there will demonstrate U.S. support for the country and strengthen U.S.-Israel ties. On the other hand, opponents contend that such a move will hinder peace negotiations between Israelis and Palestinians who both claim Jerusalem as their capital. It may also upset the delicate power balance in the region and increase the likelihood of violence. Additionally, the international community does not universally recognize Jerusalem as Israel's capital, making the issue even more complex. Hence, the decision to move the U.S. Embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem is a crucial one, with far-reaching impacts on both U.S. foreign policy and the wider Middle East region. What is life like for Palestinians in the Gaza Strip? Life in the Gaza Strip for Palestinians is challenging, with poverty, conflict, and limited access to necessities being common experiences. The Israeli blockade since 2007 has severely impacted the economy and livelihoods of many Palestinians, causing high unemployment and shortages of essentials such as electricity, clean water, and medical care. The ongoing conflict with Israel, controlled by Hamas, has resulted in periodic violence and widespread destruction, affecting civilians, including women and children. The conflict also restricts travel, trade, and access to essential services. Despite these difficulties, Palestinians in Gaza resist and persist, participating in community efforts to improve their lives. However, peace and stability in the region remain elusive, leading to continued hardship and uncertainty for those living in the Gaza Strip. What is the situation like for Palestinians in Jerusalem? The situation for Palestinians in Jerusalem is complex and challenging. Since its annexation by Israel in 1980, Jerusalem has been a source of political, religious, and cultural tensions between Israelis and Palestinians. Palestinians in the city face discrimination and have limited access to services such as housing, healthcare, and education. Their residency status is frequently at risk and they face frequent displacement. Additionally, restrictions on movement, religious worship, and cultural expression are common. The Israeli government's actions in Jerusalem, including settlement construction and the displacement of Palestinian residents, have been widely criticized by the international community. Despite these difficulties, Palestinians in Jerusalem maintain their cultural and national identity and continue to resist attempts to marginalize them. The situation in Jerusalem remains a sensitive issue in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict and a focus of international attention. Displacement of Palestinians. The displacement of Palestinians in Jerusalem is a result of Israeli government policies and practices aimed at changing the demographic makeup of the city. These policies include the demolition of Palestinian homes, the revocation of residency rights, and the construction of Israeli settlements in Palestinian neighborhoods. As a result, many Palestinians have been forced to leave their homes and communities, often ending up in poverty and without adequate housing. The displacement of Palestinians in Jerusalem is a major human rights concern and is often criticized by the international community as an obstacle to peace in the region. The Radical Realist. Radical vision, real impact.